Shalom, my Hebrew family. So I just want to do a short discussion, and we're going to call this Scattered and Confused. So earlier today, I posed a question to most of you all concerning why these Sunday churches or these Sunday ministers are allowed to continue in their wickedness. And I simply stated the reason why they're allowed and they continue to do what they do is because our people continue to put them there. So this discussion is going to kind of be a continuation on that. I kind of want to iterate on some things. We're going to talk about some family issues as well, because a lot of us who are awakened and we're keeping the laws, we tend to have a hard time dealing with our close family members, whether it be family members, friends, or what have you. So I know that many of us are struggling with that, and it's an ongoing problem, and it's going to continue to be an ongoing problem, and we're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, saints, so let me just tell you the trend of what's been going on. So as you notice, I've been posting some things in my new community page on YouTube. Now I want you guys to keep yourself posted with that, because I'm going to constantly share like articles. Sometimes I may share a video here or there that I think that's worthy of attention. And also it's a good opportunity to also share in with the Shabbat with you all. And that's what I've been doing with this community page. It's just a good opportunity to be able to interact with you all. And the last two Shabbats, I've been using that. So normally what I tend to do is just write like a little short lesson for the Shabbat and just post it and, allow you all to interact. And I like to come in and interact with you all as well, because I'm learning from you all. I'm seeing there's a lot of people who are new to this thing, and they're learning how to keep the Shabbat. So I feel that it's important that we continue to share this as a family. Every week you're going to see a post in my YouTube community page, and we're going to interact together. We're going to learn together, and we're going to grow in keeping the Shabbat together, brothers and sisters, because that is so important and that is so powerful. So we'll talk a little more about that later on, but let's get into this discussion, because I got some things I want to share with you all. All right, Zion. So if you got your Bibles, go ahead and turn to the book of Nahum, chapter 1, and we're going to read verse 9. Nahum chapter 1 and verse 9. It says, "What do you imagine against Elohim? He will make an utter end. Affliction shall not rise up the second time." Now, why am I reading this verse? Because, brothers and sisters, all this madness that's going on, this captivity we're in, all these lies, all this mess, is going to come to an end, and it's not going to rise up again. This is it. This is the last captivity. Now, you all know about all the captivities from Egypt to Babylon to the Assyrians to the Romans, all through this present day. And the question I always ask myself is, why in the world, what would make our forefathers continually to follow after other gods, despite Elohim's repeated saving grace to save us and deliver us? But yet our forefathers and us continue to do the same thing. Now this Shabbat, I had a wonderful study. I read through the book of Deuteronomy again. I've been through it several times, but every time you read through it, you always pick up something new. And I read through the book of Jeremiah. And as I read through those books, something very interesting that you realize, there was a constant, repeated disobedience with our forefathers, of them constantly turning to the gods of the heathens. And every time our forefathers did this, we became degraded. We became the underclass. We became wicked people. And out of all of this, the Most High still did mighty miracles for his people. And even unto this day, we are still considered the apple of his eye. And you know, the Most High had every right to cut us off forever. Y'all hear me, saints? To cut us off forever. But the Most High didn't do that. Now, let me show you the mighty works that the Most High did for our forefathers. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 7. And let's start with verse 1. And when Elohim shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. Y'all hear that, saints? Now, mind you, our forefathers were just coming out of the wilderness. But the Most High delivered 7 nations unto them, destroyed them. Now, you can't tell me we don't serve a powerful Elohim. Now, let's continue on with verse 2 and 3. And when Elohim shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant. Y'all hear that, saints? Thou shalt make no covenant with them. Why are we still making covenant with the heathens today? Why are we still participating in their pagan holidays? Why are we so badly trying to be like them today? The Most High says, thou shalt not make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Verse 3, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Hello, y'all hear that? I don't think y'all heard that one. It says, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. Now get this, because you got to pay attention. There's a reason why the Most High tells us not to marry heathens. Verse 4, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of Elohim be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. See, for some reason, we just think we're smarter than Elohim. We think we have all the answers. We think that we can just do our own thing and continue to disobey the Most High. And you see where it got us today. Look where we are today, saints. We are at the complete bottom because of the sins of our forefathers. There's a reason why, saints, the Most High calls the Gentiles unclean. Because he knew that when our forefathers, married unto them, that we would be turned away from the Most High and follow after other gods. It's physics. It happened over and over with our forefathers. Now let's look at verse 5. It says, but thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars. Now, why would they have altars? Because they worshipped other gods. And break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. The Most High was not playing. Now, this is when they were going into Canaan land. They had to drive out all those 7 nations. And the Most High gave them power. The Most High delivered them unto the Israelites to be destroyed. Yes, young and old. That means there were little babies dying too. Get over it, saints. It's going to happen again. When the Most High comes back to kick butt, he's going to destroy. You're going to have pregnant women, little children that are going to die. That's just the way it's going to be. The Bible says that the blood is going to be up to the horse's bridle. The Most High ain't playing, y'all. All right, let's continue on. Verse 6, it says, for thou art and holy people unto Elohim. Elohim has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself. A special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. He didn't say equal. He didn't say equal to all people. He said above all people. So what did that mean, saints? That means that we were supposed to be the light of the world. But what did we do? We followed after other gods, and we became like the other heathen nations. You know, the Most High said that we are a holy people above all nations. He has chosen us as a special people. And let me tell you something, brothers and sisters, we better start acting like a set apart people. Because if we don't, we're going to be destroyed along with the heathens. Now let's continue on to verse 7. It says, Elohim did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. Verse 8, but because Elohim loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, hath Elohim brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Now we know that we're in spiritual Egypt now, and we know that our people are scattered to the four corners of the earth. So guess what? The Most High is going to deliver us with his strong hand. And we're starting to see the beginning signs of that already all over the world. See, these plagues are just not conducive to America, United States, United Snakes, I should say, but it's worldwide, and it's going to continue to get worse and worse. Just imagine what it's going to be like 5 years from now, saints, because if you notice, every year these disasters increase more and more, and we're just now getting into hurricane season, and these hurricanes are going to be bigger than last year's. I mean, we're in for some major storms, y'all. So just think a few years down the road from now, it's going to be crazy. So all these wonderful things that the Most High has done and is doing, he didn't have to do it. Like I said earlier, he could have cut us off forever. And it's only by his grace and only by his covenant with our forefathers that we are still his people. Now let's go over to Deuteronomy chapter 9, and let's read verse 6. And it says, understand therefore that Elohim giveth thee not this good land to possess it for thy righteousness, for thou art a stiff-necked people. Now you can look up stiff-necked, and it is mentioned so many times throughout the Bible, because that's what he refers to us as, and we're still stiff-necked people unto this very day. Verse 7, remember and forget not how thou provokest Elohim to wrath in the wilderness, from the day that thou didst depart out of the land of Egypt until ye came unto this place. Ye have been rebellious against Elohim. Saints, I don't got to go no further, because you all know repeatedly and repeatedly it was a pattern. For some reason, our people was constantly attracted to wickedness. I don't know what it is about our people that we love wickedness so much. And after all the goodness that the Most High has showed us. And see, that's why I started off with Nahum 1:9, because, see, this thing ain't going to happen no more. Because you know why? We're going to get to a point, it's going to be so bad that the Most High has to let all this stuff fulfill itself. Yes, saints, we're going to go through the fire. But guess what? We're going to look back, and not a single saved soul will want to go back and do the things our forefathers did. That's why it said Nahum 1:9, affliction is not going to rise the second time. In other words, sin is not going to rise again, because we ain't going to be having it. We're not going for it, because we've been through too much already to turn around and do the same thing again and again and again. We just ain't going to have it. All right, let's get another verse, and we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. And this verse is going to bring us to the current time because, this is where we are right now, saints. And then we're going to discuss this Sunday church issues and why our people just don't get it, why they continue to be stuck in wickedness and into pagan idol worship. Deuteronomy 28, and let's look at verse 7. And it says, because thou servest not Elohim with joyfulness and with gladness of heart. Now that's powerful, saints. So what does that mean? So in other words, let me give you an example. If you're forcing yourself to serve the Most High, then you're doing it in vain. If you're forcing yourself to keep the laws, you're doing it in vain. If you're forcing yourself to keep the Shabbat, then you're doing it in vain. It should be a joy to you. Because thou servest not Elohim with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Verse 48, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies. See, the Most High is letting you know who your enemies are. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Elohim shall send against thee in hunger. Who we get our food from? Who owns the grocery stores? Who owns the restaurants? All the clubs, all that stuff. And in thirst, who owns all the water? Who owns the water reservoirs? The heathens. And in nakedness, where do we get our brand name clothes from? Yes, these heathens own all of it. And in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. See, it was something very special about this captivity, brothers and sisters. Now, if you go back and study all the other captivities from Egypt, Babylon, the Assyria, the Romans, they were all together in captivity. They were all together in captivity. This is the only captivity where we're scattered to the four corners of the earth. And not only scattered to the four corners of the earth, but totally stripped away our heritage. We didn't know anything. And now that the Spirit of the Most High is awakening his people up slowly, we're starting to get back to that gradually. And we're starting to learn the mistakes of our forefathers and what they've done. So we don't continue to repeat that same pattern over and over. And I know, saints, how frustrating it can be dealing with family members, because a lot of you deal with that on a daily basis. And the only thing that we can do is sometimes we just, and there's some family members you have to cut completely off. I get it. You have to cut them off. Now, that doesn't mean you stop praying for them. You just got to step back, let them be, and just continue to pray for them. Because the Most High still has people he's going to wake up in their appointed time. So, for example, you may be trying to reach your mother, and your mother is just being totally rejectful, or your dad, or whoever, your daughter, your son, and they totally being rejectful of the message that you're bringing to them. But then let's say 4 years down the road from now, like a light bulb, it just clicks and they start to get it. So, only thing we can do is plant that seed and just pray that somewhere down the line that they will get it. Now, we know, unfortunately, not everybody is going to get it. Okay, we got that, saints. And we know that 2/3 of our people are going to be cut off. But however, the Most High has people that are still asleep that are going to wake up in their appointed time. So however long and however much time that's going to be until the Most High says it's finished, whether it be 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 6 years from now, 20 years from now, or whatever. When the Most High says it's done, it's done. When the Most High says my servants are sealed, they are sealed. But that's not up to us to decide, brothers and sisters. We can't put a time limit on the Most High. We can't go around setting dates for anything. And I know some of you, a lot of you, yes, myself, we get anxious. We want to go home. But we still, brothers and sisters, we got a long ways to go. We're nowhere where we should be, because there's so much false doctrines floating around, all kind of crazy stuff. And there's a reason why we are a scattered people. It's just not meant for us to be together as a people. Not yet. Not yet. There will be, but just not yet. Because we still have a lot of work that needs to be done. Now, some of you might not want to hear that, but hey, it is what it is. The facts are the facts. The truth is the truth, whether you like it or not. We are on the Most High's time, not our time. So when we're dealing with our people that's caught up in these Sunday churches, and I know it can be very frustrating, but it's because our people constantly put these pastors in power. They give them power by giving their money. And only if our people knew, only if they knew the power that they possess, they could make such a difference. They could shut down these churches in a matter of days. People like TD Snakes, Creflo Dollar, and all them old hustlers, they would go running in their boots. They would literally crap their pants to find out that the people have waken up and come to their senses. So if you got family members in these churches and you've been telling them about this truth and they just constantly rejecting you, then stop telling them about this truth then, brothers and sisters, because they're not ready to hear it yet. They're just not ready. And they're going to constantly resist against you. They're going to constantly call you fanatics, demons, self-righteousness, because you want to keep the laws of the Most High, because you want to observe the Shabbat, because you don't want to eat all that poisonous stuff, pork, shrimp, and all that filthy crap that it talks about in Leviticus chapter 11. So you keep on doing what you're doing. You stay strong in what you're doing. Don't let no man or woman or child turn you away from this truth. And look, saints, I know a lot of you all are doing it alone. You're going it alone. And because I get tons of emails saying, hey, I have nobody to worship with. And they think that they're the only ones that don't have anybody to worship with. Like everybody else is magically just worshiping together. No, saints. A lot of us are just, we don't have people to worship with. So we have to worship in truth and in spirit. Well, we do that constantly. So don't feel like you're the only one that's alone. I guarantee you 98% of the awakened Israelites are in the same predicament. Now, if your spouse and your children are in this truth, then you have a good thing going. All praises to the Most High. And do everything you can to hold on to that, because that is so precious when your spouse and your children are all in this truth. But unfortunately, many of us are not that fortunate. So, we have to continue in this thing in truth and in spirit. Now, I'm not going to say we're by ourselves, because we're not by ourselves. The Most High is with us. His Spirit, His Holy Ruach is with us. So we just have to continue to build that faith in the Most High and in His Word. And this thing is it's going to end. It's going to end, brothers and sisters. This hardship is not going to go on forever. Yeah, all these nations are going to come to an end. They're going to fall. So we just got to keep the faith, and we got to keep our hand on that plow. And see, we're scattered and confused. Now, what do I mean by confused? A lot of our people who are not awakening or not awake are looking for their identity in all the wrong places. A lot of them are going through Egyptology. They're going through all these pagan religions and all kind of stuff. So we are scattered and confused, or I should say a scattered and destroyed people. But man, it's just, I tell you, it's a good thing that the Spirit has not left His people. And if it wasn't for the Most High keeping His covenant, we would be completely destroyed, saints. I mean, completely destroyed. But because we are still the apple of the Most High's eye, He is waking us up and bringing us back, rejuvenating us back to where we should be. But like I said, we still got a lot of work to be done. We still got a lot of growing to do. And it's going to be painful in the effort that we're growing. And, we're not going to like it, but we have to continue to go through this because the Most High is going to let this thing fulfill itself out. So we will not even think twice about looking back and doing the same thing our forefathers did. So now in this current time, we got to continue to fight this uphill battle because, see, the challenge is not so much that's going to come from without, but from within, dealing with family members, close friends, co-workers. All right, let's go to Matthew chapter 10 and verse 36. Matthew 10 and verse 36. It says, "And a man's foe shall be they of his own household." And we all know what that means. And we all know what we're dealing with when it comes to family members. And we can go on and on. Let's look at Micah chapter 7 and verse 6. It says, "For the son dishonoreth the father, the daughter riseth up against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies are the men of his own house." And that's profound because that's what we're dealing with. Let's go to Luke chapter 12:53. And it says, "The father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother, and the mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law." And we see all this stuff going on. I hear all the stories all the time. This is what the Most High said was going to happen. Matthew 10:35 says, For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law." See, this thing ain't going to be easy, brothers and sisters. And don't think that we're going to have peace within our family members. This thing is a uphill battle because we are still a destroyed people. And your family members are going to constantly fight against you about this truth. Matthew 13:57. It says, "And they were offended in him, but Hamashiach said unto them, A prophet is not without honor, save in his own country and in his own house." Can't even get respect anymore because of this truth. Kids won't respect you because of this truth. Call you self-righteous. They call you a devil. Call you all kind of things because you want to obey the Most High and keep his laws. Matthew 10:34 says, "Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I am come not to send peace, but a sword." Brothers and sisters, it's going to get real, and it's gotten real for a lot of you all, and it's going to continue to be real. So this truth, walking in this truth, is no easy walk, brothers and sisters. It is a challenge for a lot of us, a great challenge, but we'll have to endure to the end. Saints, I know it seems like sometimes we're going to crack if we're going to make it to the end, but I guarantee you, if you continue to seek after the righteousness of the Most High and keep his laws, this whole thing is going to be well worth the wait. And like I said, we don't know how much longer we have to wait, but it's not going to be too much longer, brothers and sisters. But just don't get caught up on a time set, though, because that's what's going to frustrate you even more, because you start thinking about it more and more, and you start getting frustrated. Well, how come the Most High didn't come back this year? How come he didn't come back next year? See, so we gotta focus on these laws, brothers and sisters. We gotta seek after the righteousness of the Most High. We gotta constantly work out our salvation with fear and trembling. And we stay focused on that, we'll constantly be ready for anything. And that's what we gotta do. But too many of our people focus on other things that are not profitable. And then they end up getting frustrated, they lose patience, and then they end up leaving the faith because things didn't happen according to the way they wanted to happen. So, brothers and sisters, to stay strong, we gotta hang in there, and continue to endure us. It's not those who finish the race first, but those who endure to the end. So with that being said, let's go to Revelation chapter 14, verse 12. Here is the patience. Now notice the key word. Here is the patience, because it's going to be those who are patiently waiting. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are those who keep the commandments of Elohim and the faith of Hamashiach. Key words, brothers and sisters: patience, keep, and commandments. So there you have it. So I pray that this short discussion was edifying for you. I pray that this comforts your heart and your soul, that this will give you the strength to endure even longer, brothers and sisters, because we're in this together. So with that being said, I say shalom and stay strong.